Hello VC, this is a entry into What the Gym's Western competition he recently put up. I'm having to do this video pretty quickly because I think in a few days he will be announcing the winner, so I thought I'd get in there. This competition, I must say, is brilliant for me. I'm a big fan of movies. I love Westerns, particularly Clint Eastwood films, and music as well. It's just spectacular for me. So yeah, really excited to do this. Um, yeah, he did mention about Midnight Cowboy. And Midnight Cowboy for me, I don't particularly consider a western, but I would easily put in Midnight Cowboy as one of my top 5 films ever made. This was groundbreaking. The music, psychedelic music as well in this, was showcasing the drugs at the time, being that this was the late 60s. Just a brilliant film for me. Love it to pieces. Both roles, John Voight and Dustin Hoffman, were absolutely brilliant in this. Music's fantastic. The introduction to this film, when you hear the everybody's talking acoustic introduction, deal 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 deal.
You know what you can do with them dishes. And if you ain't man enough to do it for yourself, I'd be happy to oblige. I really would.
Just sucks me in every time I hear that beginning. I'm just, this is a great film. Where he gets up and says, you know what to do with those dishes. If you're not man enough to do them for yourself, I'll be happy to oblige. I really would. Where he's talking into the mirror. I think it's fantastic. One of the best scenes of the movie. I think it's iconic almost. Funny enough, I can remember my father talking about this movie, Midnight Cowboy, which he saw in the cinema in 1969 with a friend. And he came out of the cinema with his mate thinking that this was an absolutely incredible movie. And I don't think he ever forgot how powerful of a film this actually is. Neither did his friend. And of course, my father recommended it to me, and I saw it years later. And I agree. I think it's an absolutely fantastic film, and so happy to later on pick up the soundtrack to that as well. Anyway, moving on. It just so happens today that I picked up a record. Not that I was particularly interested in the record, but it was the cover. It was the cover that brought me, and that is Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra sing country and western classics. I brought this today. I haven't listened to it. I brought this alone for the cover because it just looks like a Clint Eastwood film on there, and I was so impressed with it. I thought I've got to have that in my collection. So yeah, picked this up today through Amazon. Received it today rather, and yeah, really excited to give this a listen and to have this. So bit of an honorary mention, I know. Anyway, favourite films, favourite Western films. For me, I think it would have to be The Good, The Bad and The Ugly. Just an epic film. Spaghetti Western. They get better and better, get more and more epic, and this third final installment on the series, I know he did other spin-off films after this, with the man and the no name character. This really is like the ultimate one. It's just absolutely epic. The soundtrack to this, just brilliant stuff. And other honourable mentions, I'd like to mention Pale Rider by Clint Eastwood, a late 80s movie of his where he retracts the role as a cowboy. Brilliant, violent western. And of course, Unforgiven, which came out in 1992, I think. And yeah, brilliant film. If you haven't seen that, which I bet you probably have, but yeah, another favourite western of mine. Another favourite film regarding like talking about movies is Once Upon a Time in America. Fantastic soundtrack. Nothing to do with westerns, but great film. Would easily be in my top 5. And of course, composed by Ennio Morricone. I think that's how it's pronounced. Might butcher the name a bit. But anyway, the guy who did this, the good, the bad, the ugly. I also have this soundtrack. It's one of the actual early records I actually bought when I started collecting. I went into a record shop in London and snapped this mint copy up for 15 quid, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Fantastic soundtrack. Probably the greatest soundtrack ever made. Fantastic songs on here. Particularly The Death of a Soldier, which is so sort of melancholy and just nice to listen to. And the very orchestral the Ecstasy of Gold, where Tuco is looking for Carson's grave. It's just a fantastic scene in the movie. With that fantastic score beside it. So yes, great soundtrack. And I also have the first one, Clint Eastwood, A Fistful of Dollars, same composer. I'd like to get the sequel as well at some point, but I haven't come across it. So just a added bonus there. But regarding favourite songs, I have to sort of go to the Paint Your Wagon soundtrack. Not maybe particularly known for a great film or a great musical. I would think this is generally underrated, but very successful soundtrack. Very, very Western. Very, very Western. Favourite song, of course, has to be Wandering Star, sung by Lee Marvin, which went to number 1 in 1969 in the UK chart. Yeah, fantastic song. And of course the B-side to that on the single is I Talk to the Trees. I love that song, sung by Clint Eastwood. Just a lovely, sweet song. Very, very catchy, very memorable. And it's funny, it's called I Talk to the Trees, but he never actually says trees, he says tree, because it's labelled trees. Yeah, just thought that was a bit unusual, but something I've sort of made an observation of. But yeah, there you go. Paint Your Wagon, and both songs, of course, feature in this soundtrack. So yeah, if you can pick this up, which you generally can at most charity shops these days, might be worth giving it a listen and pick it up for a couple of quid or whatever, you know. Why not? Of course, if you can pick up the film, which I think is actually quite rare to find on DVD, you can end up paying a pretty penny actually for that DVD, funny enough. But anyway, rambling on a bit. Congratulations for reaching the milestone of 500, and everybody else, I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye for now.
I talk to the trees, but they don't listen to me. I talk to the stars, but they never hear me.